Hello to Mrs. Jackson's fifth grade class at Beloit Elementary. My name is Christopher Mick, and I am a NASA Solar System Ambassador and an International Teacher Liaison, and I run my own STEM educational nonprofit called Space St. Croix way back in Hudson, Wisconsin. But I'm not talking to you about any of that tonight because we're at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida at the NASA press site. And so I'm trying to do a video to what it would be like if you could all be here at the press site covering a rocket launch. So the loud thing you hear beside me is there's some generator lights because we're getting into nighttime. The rocket launch I'm covering tonight is for my local hometown newspaper, the Hudson Star Observer in Hudson, Wisconsin. And so I flew all the way down to Kennedy Space Center here in Florida to cover the launch of what's called the Space Launch System, which is a rocket. I'll walk that way, see if I can spin you around, because I'm shooting this on my iPhone, so it's not going to be as good as with the still camera, but we'll pan along there. Yeah, you really can't see it too well out there, but that's it right there. So that's the Space Launch System rocket. You may have seen pictures of it, or your teacher can show you pictures of it. It's 322 feet tall. It's taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's a massive rocket. It's the biggest rocket that NASA's launched since, you may have heard of a gentleman named Neil Armstrong. He flew to the moon on Apollo 11 on a Saturn V rocket, which was what's classified as a heavy lift rocket, which can pull you away from Earth's gravity and get you all the way to the moon. And so this is the biggest rocket since then, and the Apollo Saturn Vs haven't flown in like 50 years. So it's a pretty big deal. And then over here is the big vehicle assembly building, one of the largest buildings in the world by volume. This was built for the Apollo program. This is where they stack all the Apollo Saturn V rockets back in the 60s and 70s. It was used for the space shuttle program, which is a 30-year program. Now the space shuttle is retired, still being used. It's where they stack the massive SLS rockets. So it's nighttime, you can't see it, but the lower building right here, that's the LCC, the Launch Control Center. So that is where the team is currently working. They are fueling the rocket as we speak. So it's about, what is it? Just after 6:30 Florida time on all my days are mixed up because I haven't been sleeping. So this is the night before launch. It's scheduled to take off just after 1 o'clock in the morning local time on Wednesday, the 16th of November. So it's the evening of the 15th. And they are fueling it, and the weather is about 80% go. The last update I had, it's beautiful here. And you can't see the crawler way, but there's two huge doors, like 475-foot high doors, where they can roll a rocket in or roll a rocket out at the same time. And it goes along this crawler way, which is this road. You can't really see, like a cobblestone road, and it goes all the way out to the launch pad. So that's what's happening tonight, and it's a brand new rocket, and so there's a lot of things that can have issues or go wrong with it. So I've been down here before. They were hoping it would launch this summer. There's some problems with it. I was down in end of August. It was supposed to launch, and they couldn't get it to go. Technical problems, and that's not uncommon on a brand new rocket. So now we're to November, and everything's looking pretty good so far. So I will give another update after the rocket launches, but I thought I'd show you, if you were here and able to get press credentials, like writing for your school newspaper or something, this is where you'd be. So the public isn't allowed in this area. It's just reporters, and it's pretty neat. There's reporters from all around the world, I've heard, Spanish and German and Korean, and obviously a lot of local press in the United States, but they're all here to cover this launch. And there's some amazing equipment here. I can show you one if I can get over my shoulder here. This is one of the big tracking camera rigs. So provide, can look in infrared, in visible light, in film, and still photos and video, and can track with it as it arcs through the sky. Pretty amazing. NASA's producing some 360 VR videos for this, which will be posted, I'm sure, shortly after the launch. And then I was in the parking lot area where my rent-a-car is parked, and now we're kind of walking over to where the press tents and buildings are. So all the networks, CNN, CBS, ABC, all the local media, NASA TV, obviously, will be showing this, so I can kind of show you around. So that's the countdown clock area. We can walk over there and kind of show you where the photographers are setting up. The countdown clock kind of blows out my phone, so I'll have to see. But if you can see in the darkness, they've got some Klieg lights on. But that's the kind of row of cameras for still photographers and videographers. And then if we can get over here to the countdown clock. And then some people have asked why we have to be so far away from the rocket. And it has to do with the safe range for a fully fueled rocket. So a fully fueled rocket, they did the math, and the blast radius, if there was an accident or a problem, would be a 3.5 mile diameter in each direction. So we're just about almost 4 miles from the launch site, and that's the closest anyone can safely be for it. There's the countdown clock, if you can read that. So it's blowing out. It's 5 hours, 55 minutes. There's a couple built-in holds there, which are planned for they can kind of go around and everybody can sign off. And if the fueling's gone well, if they're monitoring any problems or whatnot. Now I'm kind of walking into the Klieg lights, but I just thought I'd show you some of the press tent areas. And the reason this is a big deal, again, a really powerful rocket. The most recent one we have to compare it to is kind of like the space shuttle. So the space shuttle could carry about 22 tons of whatever you wanted into space. If it was the Hubble Space Telescope or delivering things to build the space station, 22 tons. The SLS can carry 70 tons. So a huge, and that's what you need for going to the moon. That's why they call it a heavy lift rocket. The space shuttle could never leave Earth's orbit. That's all it could do is be kind of a delivery truck. You need something more powerful that could break away from it. So I'll just pan around to show you. These are some of the press tents and satellite trucks for the media that are all getting ready for the broadcasting. And you can see CBS is over there, if you can read that. We have the satellite truck alley here doing that. So wrapping up here, the rocket has used a lot of technology. I got some visual aids, so that's my model of the SLS rocket. So it's got a lot of things in common with the space shuttle. That was kind of the mandate to use a lot of the infrastructure and the tooling and the manufacturing that was developed for the space shuttle program and try to make use of that. So if you look at the white objects flanking the rocket, those are solid rocket boosters, solid rocket fuel, and they're very similar to the ones that were used for the space shuttle program. If you see a picture of the space shuttle stack, these are just, if you see the black lines, they're each one segment taller. So they provide even more power and more thrust. And then the little 4 black circles in the bottom represent the engines that are on the core stage. They're liquid fueled engines, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. And they look like these. So these are called RS-25 engines. And 3 of these were used in the back of each space shuttle orbiter. Now they use 4. You see where I'm kind of going here, more power, more engines. So they use 4 of these engines that worked really well for the space shuttle program and put 4 on the bottom of each core booster and do that. So this will be an uncrewed flight because it's never flown before. And it's the first time they've integrated, and they're going to fire the solid rocket boosters, the 2-stage liquid booster, but they're going to do it like a real mission to the moon that would have crew on it. So it's going to be over 20 days. It'll go and orbit the moon. It'll come back. And then the most important thing, this is a model of the Orion capsule that sits on top. So this is where normally 4 astronauts would sit doing their lunar mission. There won't be any astronauts out there. Is a Snoopy on there. And they're going to recover this. It'll land in the ocean with parachutes, has a heat shield to protect it on re-entry. And then they'll get all the data back from that. And if everything checks out on that, then the next mission, Artemis 2, will have astronauts on it. So that's why it's a big deal. That's why it's been going through these delays, because it's a brand new thing that's never been done before. And rocket science is hard. So excited to be out here again. We're 5 or 6 hours away from things, and I'll try to do a follow-up video if there's a successful launch with some photos or commentary. from that. But I hope you all have a good school year, and hope you can see some photos of the rockets, the space shuttle, and the SLS to kind of compare them and contrast them. And would be happy to answer any other questions if your teacher wants to send anything my way. But greetings from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Fingers crossed for launch. Talk to you soon.